All right, what's going on, STR Nation? Welcome to a new segment of the Short-Term Rental Secrets podcast, and it is called From the Host. And this was an idea from one of our coaches / students who's now become a coach for us over at STR Secrets Mastermind, Mr. Mike Reilly. You may recognize Mike. He's been on the podcast before. He's an amazing human. He's been crushing it in the short-term rental game. And he had a unique idea for a new podcast that we could release in addition to our regular one. That would be a little more concise and short, somewhere in that 15, 20-minute range to just bring you guys some actionable content and give you guys a behind-the-scenes peek at some things that are going on inside the mastermind and some of the opportunities and questions and things like that people are asking as they're scaling along the way. So, Mike, why don't you give us a little bit more context on what we're going to be bringing to the listeners on this show?
Yeah, so this podcast is going to be specifically for actionable items that are coming from our mastermind group. So we've got over 200 people in the mastermind group that are going through different scenarios. They're actually, hosting hundreds of people really daily. And there's different scenarios that pop up and different questions that we get asked continuously that we're going to give to you guys. So we're going to take those experiences, record them in short 15-minute podcasts, videos as well. We'll throw it on YouTube and add value back to you guys from like real live things that are happening from us hosts. And this is going to be real time too. It's going to be recorded weekly. So you should get one each week. And if you have any scenarios or questions you want to hear more about, go ahead and either comment on YouTube or also on our free Facebook group too. So the first one we're going to kick off today was actually an experience that I personally had down in Orlando, Florida. So I went down to Orlando, Florida this past January for a family wedding. And the wedding was actually on Disney property at the Four Seasons. I obviously was not staying at the Four Seasons, and I had a bunch of family with me as well. So we had a group of 14 of us that got a house down in Kissimmee. A lot of people are in Kissimmee. There's a lot of short-term rental. Mike, you know it better than I do down there.
There's 36 or 37,000 properties down there. So
yeah. So there's a lot of properties. And the one that we picked to stay at, we're staying just for 3 nights, and this is in January, so it's kind of an off season, had fantastic pictures. The pictures were amazing. The whole place was decked out. All the rooms were themed, which was great. And I thought, this was an amazing place. It's got a pool, could sleep 24. And I'm going to read from some of my notes here. The pool pictures were fantastic. Like I said, all the pictures in the room were great. This place had 4.8 reviews, and it was on Airbnb for, probably like 8 months. It was a newer property, which I did like. But it was also hosted by a large management company. So that was kind of my one, like, okay, we'll test them out. We'll see how it is. So first, before we even got there, they sent me very long check-in instructions, which is okay. But also they asked me if I wanted to heat the pool, which I thought, yeah, let's heat the pool in the hot tub. So they charged me, I think it was $30 a day. So it was $90 just to heat the pool. That's fine. I think that's pretty normal. But when we got there, the first impression was we saw that there was a box of trash outside of the house. And every house had this box of trash, and the trash box was not very big. It was probably 2 feet tall and 4 feet wide. And there was trash piling up the top. Like, that's the first thing we saw when we got out of the car. We saw the trash right next to the door in these boxes. There's probably like 10 bags of trash. So that's the first thing we saw. And then when we looked around, there was actually vultures getting into the trash at other houses. So that was the first thing. I was like, okay, that's a little weird. And then we walk in, and it smells like just completely like Clorox, which is not really a bad thing. I mean, COVID is very real right now. And, obviously, I think somebody checked out the same day we were checking in, but it was just overwhelming with, the Clorox smell. The second thing that I noticed, there was 14 people staying. There's 14 towels. So there's 1 towel per person, no hand towels, no washcloths, no nothing. They did have 2 cribs. We had 2 babies. We didn't have to request those cribs, so that was great, and they were actually kind of clean. Sometimes you can go to Airbnbs and the cribs are, the pack and plays are disgusting because some kid threw up on it or anything or something like that. So
was it a crib or was it a pack and play?
it was a pack and play, so it was like a one you had to put together. And then in the kitchen there was a starter pack, which I thought was good too. They gave us 2 paper towels, 1 sponge, I think 1 dishwasher pod. Let's see. I think that was it. It was just in a Ziploc bag. Wasn't that like nicely done? But keep in mind, we paid like $600 a night for this place as well. So I didn't mention that. It's for 14 people. I wouldn't say that's a lot for the off season, but still, it's not like we're paying $300 a night. And then in the kitchen too, there was no frying pan. I couldn't fry an egg in the morning. There was no pizza cutter. We got pizzas for the first night, frozen pizzas. There was no cutter. There was really no utensils. There was no wine opener. There was no wine glasses. We had to do a huge Target run, and we went and bought, wine glasses for the girls, and had to buy all these utensils. Had to buy a bottle opener. Had to buy a wine opener. Just a ton of different things that just weren't stocked there for a place that's been on Airbnb for 6-7 months. Now I know we think people steal them, but if you communicate properly, these things don't really happen. And then also the dishwasher is broken. So we've got 14 people, we got a lot of cups, a lot of dishes, after we went and, bought a lot of utensils, a lot of things to wash, and the dishwasher is broken. So then when I messaged the host or the management company, I texted them, I called them, and also messaged them through the app. And they got back to me about a day later, and they said, "Oh, we'll get right on that. We'll send towels, and we'll also send the maintenance person." And that never happened. No one ever showed. I didn't really even follow up. One thing I did miss there for the pool, there was only 4 pool towels for 14 people as well. So those are some of the things. Now the beds were comfortable. I thought the design was great. The furniture was a little cheap, but it's something you would expect for a big place like that, because they obviously spent a lot of money to design it properly, have the Disney themed rooms, have a movie theater. The projector in the movie theater was broken as well, so we didn't get to use that. So that's kind of where the standard is right now, I feel, with short-term rentals in general. There's a lot of hosts. There's like the management company hosts, and then there's like the mom and pop hosts, and then there's a big gap between the two. The mom and pop hosts, they'll do kind of the same things, right? They'll, put sheets on the bed that's like their sheets that they, didn't really wash that well. They'll have dirty utensils. The utensils are extremely dirty, like the forks and knives. We had to wash all those at this place as well. So that's your average Airbnb. But what we're doing in the mastermind is we're teaching how to set the bar higher. And we always talk about, all right, this area is, Kissimmee, you would think it's very oversaturated. There's not a lot of good opportunities. That's not the case. If you level your standard up, you're going to create a better experience for your guests. You're going to get more repeat guests, and the standard is going to go higher and higher and higher and higher. So if the bar is here and we're operating here, there's no way that, if you underwrite properly, that you're not going to have a successful Airbnb. So Mike, I know you're building out a place in Orlando and Kissimmee right now. What are you doing to go above and beyond kind of the average Airbnb that's there?
Yeah, and I think one of the things to point out, so they did some things right, which is why they got the booking. They designed it well, they photographed it well, they had a good listing. That's what gets you the booking. Now, you did not have a good experience, so there's zero chance that you would ever book that place again, right? But if they really wowed you, that's going to stay in the back of your mind. Or when people ask you, like, where did you stay? Oh, I stayed at this amazing place, right? So they did the front part right. They designed it well. They got it photographed well. They did the marketing right. Mm-hmm. What they fell back on is the operations. And this is like a rampant problem for hosts, is like, you understand that the property needs to look good, but then you really need to have the operations on the back end to support it. So some nuggets to think about is, when you're talking to your cleaners, right? Yes, the place needs to be cleaned, but they also need to check for any damaged items. So like, In your case, the dishwasher wasn't working, the projector wasn't working. Those things need to get addressed as quickly as possible. And if they're not, people understand things happen, but they want to know that you're on it. So like that should have already been reported to, in this case, the management company. They should have already had people over there. They should have been communicating that to you. Like that should have been addressed. The trash thing outside, to me, that sounds like a community issue. And you're kind of at the mercy of the community of like how their trash pickup works. So that's unfortunate, but I would be advocating in the community, like, hey guys, like what time is trash pickup? Like we need to accelerate that, or at least let the guests know that like, hey, the trash is going to get picked up at this time. So it kind of settles you down of like, all right, this is kind of gross. There's already a ton of trash outside. Right. And thinking through as a guest, and I see this a lot in Kissimmee in particular. And so I've been meeting with countless vendors on this where it's like, oh yeah, like we put out 1 towel per guest. I'm like, that's not going to fly with us. Like, I don't care if it costs me more, fine. But like, what's going to happen is somebody like Mike is going to stay at my place. He's going to be like, I have 1 towel, no hand towels, and no washcloths. They're going to be calling me immediately to get those items. So just stock the place accordingly up front so they don't have to deal with you. Like nobody wants to deal with that when they're on vacation. They just want to be able to show up and enjoy the place, right? And from a cooking standpoint, especially with the larger properties, like we bought 2 sets of pots and pans for our place because it sleeps that many people. So we know that the attractiveness of a large property like that is, hey, you can cook your own meals and not have to spend $400 every single time you go out to eat. You can just go buy groceries and use our kitchen. So thinking all that stuff through, and again, we have checklists in the mastermind of everything from the pizza cutter to all the utensils to all the other cookware that you need, all the pots and pans, like all of those things. So you want to start thinking through and creating that checklist for yourself so that when you go to launch, you're not missing things. And if you are, great, that's fine. Go get it addressed and then add it to your list. So you want to streamline your process going forward. So every time you launch a new unit, it gets smoother and smoother and smoother, right? So I don't know if you have any other processes that you want to add to that, Mike, but I mean, the point of this episode was to just show this was Mike's experience. This is what you should learn from it. And this is what you should address going forward.
Yeah, exactly. And we're setting the bar higher, really. And I think the mom and pops and also the management companies, they're going to get pushed out by people like us that are just setting the bar higher and higher as more and more STRs come on the market. So these things aren't like nice to haves. These are, you must do this in order to keep your business to run year in and year out. And it's these things that we got to improve. And like we're talking about, we've had people on the podcast talking about concierge services as well. And also like, how do you create mini bars in your STR? Like these are the services that are going to be put into our STRs going forward. And if we want to build long-term wealth is what we're teaching, then we need to do these things and continue to review how we can make our STR better, rather than how can we manage our bottom line and how can we be, as yes, we want to make it passive, but still you need to act like a business owner when you're reviewing, each part of your business as well. So
love it. Love it. Well, Mike, appreciate you being on here. Really excited for this new segment. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you leave us a review. If you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Make sure you comment on YouTube. Check out the free Facebook group. It's called Short-Term Rental Secrets. It's pretty easy to find on Facebook. And we'll see you guys in the next episode. Hey, STR Nation, if you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to hit that subscribe button and leave us a review. And in the comments, let us know what topics you want us to cover on upcoming episodes, and we'll make sure to get that in the books for you. And if you really want to learn how to launch, automate, and scale your short-term rental business, if you want to go deeper, then check out our free masterclass at strsecrets.com.